Today is September 7th, 2007. We're in San Antonio, Texas for the occasion of the reunion of the 141st
36.
Oh, 36th Division.
Uh-huh.
Correct. Okay, my apologies. For the 36th Division, and which also had part units from the 141st Regiment, also known later through a battle as members of the Lost Battalion. Today we're interviewing Arthur Cunningham, and I would like to thank you on behalf of Go for Broke and the Hanashi Oral History Program for agreeing to do this interview today. Would you please start off by stating your full name, your date and place of birth?
Arthur Warren Cunningham, Sr. I was born in Washington County, a little place called Holston. And December the 12th, 6th, 24.
Tell us a little bit of your family background. What do you know about your family background?
Well, I had 6 sisters and 4 brothers. And they're all living except my 2 oldest brothers and one of my sisters.
Your parents, let's talk a little bit about your father. What was your father's name and what did he do?
My father was Arthur Cummings Cunningham. He was a veterinarian. And he died in 1928, May the 19th.
So you didn't really get a chance to know him?
No, I never knew him.
Yeah.
I can't remember him.
Okay. How about your mother? What was her name?
Ida Minerva Hutton Cunningham. And she raised us 10 children. And she lived to be 89 years old.
Describe us for her physically. What did she look like?
Well, she was kind of a stocky built lady and had Cherokee Indian in our background, and mighty sweet woman.
Yeah. What made her so sweet? What about her was so sweet?
Well, her love and all that she showed for the kids.
Was she kind of a more quiet woman, or was she kind of jovial?
She was kind of a social, yes. She'd taken a little after the Indian side. My grandfather Hutton was a full-blooded Cherokee, and my grandmother was a half Cherokee. And then my grandma Cunningham, she was half Cherokee.
Quite a lot of Indian blood in your family. Quite a lot of Indian blood in your family.
Then
I said quite a bit of Indian blood in your family.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Did you in your childhood, what contact did you have with the Cherokee side of your family, as far besides your mother?
Well, in my generation, we had no contact with Cherokees, for they lived on the reservation down in western Tennessee in the Smokies, in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Did you ever visit at any point?
I visited the reservation and the exhibits that they put on.
And the what?
And the exhibits that they put on to make her living and one thing and another.
How old were you when you visited the reservation?
Oh, was after I came back from the war.
What about, what was your reaction to the reservation and what you saw there? What conditions did you see?
Well, everything looked mighty nice, neat, clean, and they were mighty friendly.
When you went at that time to visit, did you go there for the purpose of just seeing or to meet relatives?
No, just, you know, to look it over. I don't know who they were or anything about any further back than my grandmother and grandfather.
Did you meet any of anyone that you could identify as family when you went to the reservation?
No. We were mostly just on the tour.
Okay. Your mother, she raised you on her own. What did she do to be able to raise money to keep the family going?
Well, my mother was a nurse. She nursed, take care of mostly delivering babies and helping the doctor out. And then we had a farm. My father left us a farm, and we had to raise what we ate.
What, now you said you had, am I correct, were there 10 children in your family? Or 10, or 11?
There was 11. One had was born with an open spine.
With, oh.
And lived 6 weeks.
Where were you in the line of children? Which number were you?
Oh, I had 2 brothers, younger than mine.
How about, you know, the other kids older than you? How many kids were older than you?
Oh, 8.
Who did you get along best with in your family?
Oh, my mother. Mother and I was always close.
If you would share a moment with us, something that you really remember about your mother that made your relationship so special.
Well, she worked hard to keep us something to eat and clothes on our backs. And, we had to do the same. We all had our chores to do. And if you didn't do it, why, you got Roosevelt.
What kind of things might, first, what were your chores to do?
Well, I've worked farm, have worked the farm, and I fished, I hunted. Didn't waste nothing back in the Hoover's days.
When you hunted, were you hunting specifically for food? And
right.
What kind of game did you hunt?
Well, back then we had no large game, no deer, no bear, but we had rabbit, squirrel, quail, grouse, such as that.
What did you hunt with?
Well, I hunted with a .22 rifle most of the time, unless I was hunting grouse or quail. I used a shotgun. No long tom 16 gauge.
Now, you said you also fished. What kind of fish did you get?
Caught rock bass, smallmouth, very few largemouth in our river, and cats.
What river?
Catfish.
What river was that you're fishing in?
North Fork of the Holston River.
And your fishing pole, is this a fishing pole that you purchased or did you make it?
Well, we made them most of the time. And I used a 16-pound sledgehammer lots of times.
So when you used the sledgehammer, it was just a matter of looking over the fish and hitting them?
Oh, you would find a rock at a pretty cleaned out place and rear back with that hammer and hit the ball. And he'd come up.
Now, when you said that you made your own fishing rods, what did you make them out of? What materials?
Oh, mostly just good straight cane poles. We had no bamboo around in our, and we'd buy a fishing line and hooks.
And when you said cane pole, are you talking sugar cane or what kind of cane? What kind of wood did you use for the pole?
Cane pole, just mostly hickory if you could find a good hickory pole.
You had a grandfather that served in the Civil War?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, I knew all that I knew. I've been told he lost his right arm in the Second Battle of Bull Run at Manassas, Virginia. And it finally killed him. He finally kind of died from a wound.
How much later did he die?
You know, I don't know. Just I've got it at home in the geology.
What was your grandfather's name?
My grandfather, Andrew Jackson Cunningham.
That Andrew Jackson, did that come from our former president?
I don't know. I imagine, though, it did.
Did you have other relatives and other relatives that served during the Civil War that you know of?
No, I didn't. And my grandfather had married and had one child, and my father was born in 1874. January the 4th.
Your uncle, was he cavalry or infantry?
Infantry, 26 infantry.
Okay. And where did he join up, and where was he serving?
He joined up, and they sent him to Manassas.
And originally, when he joined up, was he in like a state militia, or?
He was in the infantry division.
Okay. Getting back to your childhood, did your mom remain single?
Pardon me?
Did your mother ever remarry?
Yes.
When did she remarry?
She remarried my father died in 28, and she was married 12 years later.
So you were 16 at that time.
Uh-huh.
Who did she end up marrying?
Charles Gobble. Charles Robert Gobble.
Did you ever come to look at him as a father, or were you too old by that time?
He was just like a father to me. He and I got along fine.
What in your eyes made him such a good person?
Well, I don't know. He was as honorary as he could be at times.
Did he provide guidance for you, or just somebody to talk to?
Well, we worked together till I went to the service. I went in the service just after I was 18.
So you two worked together prior to that?
Yes.
And then when you say you worked together on the farm or a
On the
job?
farm.
Okay. What kind of crops did you guys raise?
Pardon?
What type of farm was it?
Just a general farm. We raised corn, tobacco, and all of our vegetables we canned. Canned for the winter time.
How about your house? What did your house look like?
Well, back then, there was no insulation, you know, just siding on the house. And boards, on the inside, tongue groove pine boards.
How about plumbing? Was there indoor plumbing, or?
No, not at that time.
What'd you do for baths?
For baths, we carried water from a spring and used an old wash tub.
And how about for restroom facilities?
Oh, outside, John.
How far was that from the house?
About 50 feet.
about electricity? Was there electricity in the house?
No electric, no telephone, no television. That's the reason they all raised so many children. Going to bed early was their only recreation they had.
How about the lighting? What did you use for lighting?
Coal oil lamps.
Now, I hear about kerosene lamps. What are coal oil lamps?
Well, coal oil is made out of coal dug out of the mountains. And kerosene is made out of something out of other products.
Where did you go to school? What's your first memory of going to school?
Well, I went to school at Holston in Greendale. I went into the 9th grade.
You went there until the 9th grade? Through the 9th grade?
Pardon me?
I say you went to that school until the 9th grade? You went there from the beginning of school through your 9th year?
Yes.
And what kind of school was that? Was it a big school, a little school?
Oh, when I went to 2 different schools. I went to Holston at Greendale. They did have furnace. Holston, we had old big pot-bellied stoves that we burnt coal in the wintertime to heat.
How cold would it get in your neighborhood during winter?
Oh, I could walk across the river and go to school.
How far a walk was that?
Oh, about a half a mile. Or if I had to walk around, it was 2 miles. Mile up and a mile, and then cross the river and a mile back down on the other side.
Were you, if the river wasn't frozen over and you had to walk around, was there a bridge crossing or just a shallow area?
Oh, it was bridge crossing. But we had a boat we used most time. Homemade wooden boat.
Can you name actually your siblings? You know, there were 10 others. Can you name them?
My sisters.
Your sisters and brothers?
Well, the oldest was Henry. Then Flora and Lucille and Ray, Ruth, Neil, Reddy, and Ollie.
And then the 2 younger ones than you?
Oh, no, the girls.
Yeah.
2 older boys. Well, there's a boy and a girl, and then a boy. And then 6 girls and 2 more boys.
So what about the names of the 2 boys younger than you?
Oh, Wiley was the one between my baby brother and I.
And then your baby brother, what was his name?
James.
Who did you used to play with among your brothers and sisters?
Well, I played with my brothers, my sisters, and I had some kin folks that lived up on the next farm that was owned by my uncle.
In school, what were your favorite subjects?
I liked arithmetic.
Did it come easy to you, or was it just something about
Well,
calculating?
I didn't get too far in it, but I'd sit and work out fractions, try to work out fractions and all to get them right.
How about sports while you're in school? What sports did you enjoy?
Baseball. We had no football.
What position did you like to play?
I played out in the field most of the time, out in the field.
What kind of hitter were you?
I done pretty good.
And when you played, was it just among kids there at school, or
Yes.
did you ever play other schools?
No, we had no transportation to go to other schools.
What transportation did your family have?
Well, my dad rode horseback for his doctor. He doctored out of his saddlebags, and he operated on a foundered ox, and they said in 5 days the old ox was back at work, and cut his punch, and he got foundered, got in the green that night, and got foundered.
Where did you go to high school?
Pardon?
High school.
Greendale.
What was the name of your high school?
Greendale High.
Who, if anybody, stood out in your mind as a teacher that you looked up to, or somebody that kind of reached out to help give you a hand?
Well, you had to most time get it yourself or get help at home. You always had lessons to do it of evenings when you went in.
I'm sorry?
At nights, get help at home at night.
Were your brothers and sisters helpful with your homework lessons?
Well, as they got a little older, they all left home, got married, left home, left my younger brother and I there. Lots of times we'd be there 2 weeks by ourselves.
How old were you when you graduated high school?
I didn't graduate. I was about 16. I had to go to work on the farm to keep something to eat on.
At that age, were most of your brothers and sisters gone?
Yes.
Were you the oldest one left there?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you and your mother's second husband, were you and your 2 younger brothers working the farm?
Well, my younger brother and I did most of it. I'd hold the plow and he'd drive the team.
How difficult a work was that? Was it?
It's hard, but no, nothing but hard work.
When you were plowing, was there a fair amount of rain that the soil was?
You plowed in the spring, early spring, and then worked it up and planted.
When you guys were trying to irrigate, what was your water source? Was this well water, or did you have?
We had a big spring, boiled up out of the ground.
Was that plenty of water to meet all your needs, or did it ever?
Oh yeah, and plenty to spare.
Did your spring ever dry up?
No, not as long as I was there. And I never seen it dry.
Where were you on December 7th, 1941?
1941. I was working in the tobacco warehouse. That was the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. I was 17 years old.
How did you hear the news?
Pardon?
How did you hear the news?
Radio. Like I say, we had no television.
What did you think about when you heard that America had been attacked, that this base in Hawaii had been attacked?
Well, I thought it was mighty bad. I went in the Army in June the 3rd. Had 17 weeks basic training. Then I went to Fort Meade, Maryland, loaded on a boat at Portsmouth, at Norfolk, went to landed in Naples, Italy.
When you went into the Army, did you volunteer, or were you?
No, I was drafted out. I should have went ahead and volunteered. I tried to get into the 3 C's.
What's the 3 C's?
CC camp.
And what is that? What kind of group is that?
That's the group that they closed during the war, and the boys all went into the service. It was a government work, building roads, and anything that they had to do.
A lot of civil service type of work, civil projects.
Yes.
Yeah.
They built an awful lot of roads. That was back just after Roosevelt was elected.
What did you think of President Roosevelt?
I think he's one of the best we ever had.
term president. What do you think about what did he do that seemed so progressive or insightful for the period of history that he governed?
Well, he started putting food on people's table, giving them work. Hoover ordered the National Guard to fire on the veterans because they wouldn't pay their bonus that they were supposed to get after World War I.
The year you joined, was that 1942?
Pardon me?
The year you went into the military, was that 1942 or 1943?
I went in 43.
And when you went in, where did you train?
Camp Wheeler, Georgia.
And was that your basic training there?
Yes.
What, when you go through basic training, is there any specialized training, or is it just fitness training?
Just rifle training. Infantry training.
How did you score on your rifle range?
Sharpshooter.
After your basic training, where did you go?
I went to Fort Meade, Maryland, and loaded on the boat and went overseas.
So when they shipped you out, were you already attached to a unit, or was that to come?
No, I joined the 36th Division and as a replacement.
What was that trip like for you overseas?
Oh God, I was seasick all the way over, and 2 or 3 days after. Went over on a little old merchant ship, and in January, and that water was like this.
Rough going, huh?
Rough.
Were you able to eat? Or?
If you could hold your plate and eat all the same time. I have seen everything come scooting right down the table, hit one of those.
When you went overseas, where did you first land?
Naples, Italy.
What did you notice there about Naples? About the town and about the people?
All I know, they was bombing and strafing like hell, and I unloaded off the boat.
Now, were they actually firing on the town while you were there?
Yeah.
What did you think of when you first actually came under fire?
Well, all you could do was just try to get up against the side of the wall or something and hope it didn't hit you.
How did being under fire for real differ from, your training? How did it seem different to you than they tried to prepare you for?
Oh, it was rough. Like on the NCO. They was shooting the old big gun at us. It would sound like it was going to hit right on you, and a booster would take off and it'd go on down toward the shore. I'd make cold chills run up and down your spine and bump over one another. and jump over one another.
Was this what they were firing at you? Was this a German 88?
No. It was a 24-inch.
Oh,
It taken 3 boxcars to haul it on. The base set on one, and the barrel laid over 2. We captured it from a tunnel at the Air Force had knocked the railroad out behind it. They was putting it in that tunnel in daytime, and then they'd put it out and fire on us at night, and then pull it back in. I seen one boy crawl through the barrel.
what was your first action? Where did you see your first firefight?
In the vineyard yards and the push for veterinary, Germany. France, Italy, NCO, beachhead.
Describe that day for us. What was that like? What were you thinking about?
Well, I don't know. We went in, we hit land, we kept traveling. It wasn't bad for us. We went in, the beachhead had done been established, but we went in to make the push.
Mm-hmm. What did you notice about the beachhead as far as what it took to establish that?
Well, it wasn't like some of the others. Where I went in, I seen some of them go in and lodge up on sandbars, and a lot of them didn't come up. When they flapped that door down, you had to go out. Some of them didn't make it back up.
How deep was the water where you hit?
Well, I got 1 foot. No, I had to wade it in and a little bit. Wasn't more than knee deep.
At the point that you were coming in, your craft was coming in, you said that the beachhead had already been established. Was
Yes.
there still any artillery fire coming your way?
Oh, no, not right at the press. But we got in. And they located us around Velletri, Italy. Taken us 3 weeks to take the town. Our division hit them on one side and draw their fire, and then we'd back up. The others come in, we'd push, and we did that for 3 weeks before we got them out. But getting up to it was a big job.
What was the most difficult part of that? What was happening in the way of their deployment for defense that made it so difficult?
Oh, the only thing was digging. If you didn't dig a hole, it was rough on you. As soon as I stopped, I went to dig. And I have dug as high as 3 foxholes before I'd get to spend any time in the other 2.
What were some of the weapons that you came up against?
Well, I've been shot at with everything that they had. 88, 20 millimeter, 50 caliber, and the burp gun.
What was the burp gun and why was it named that?
We called it the burp gun for it just sound like someone burping when they let off gas, you know. One going out the barrel and the other following it up. And they shot a 9 millimeter.
What was the American equivalent to a burp gun and how did they compare?
I wouldn't know just how they compare. But you never wanted to shoot one. I never liked to shoot one to kill, unless it's a have-to case. You shoot and wound them, they'd go to hollering and that bunch of them would surrender. Wouldn't have to kill them. Wouldn't have to shoot them.
What was the experience for you the first time you saw a dead soldier? And was it a German, Italian, American?
Well, it happened to be American. And the tank had run over. Run over his head.
When you was this somebody from your own unit or?
No. I don't know whether he was from. He was from our division, yes.
What was your next action?
Well, we fought from NCO. When we got them started at Veterinary, we didn't let them stop until Rome. Then we went from Rome to Florence, and then we came back to Salerno Beachhead and taken amphibious training, got replacements, and taken amphibious training, and went from there to on August the 15th, 8:05, we hit the beach in southern France.
Your amphibious training, what did that consist of?
Well, we would get from a merchant ship or a ship into the LSTs and train going in and out, coming off the side of the ship into the LSDs.
What does LST stand for?
Land crafts. They had a big door that just flopped down in front when they got up. I know I asked the little boy, Navy boy that was operating the landing craft, if he was going to get us in. He says, if I can help it, I'm going to put you right in there. I got 1 foot wet, my right foot, and that's when I stepped off a wave, come up and hit it.
One of the more lucky ones.
Yeah, lucky.
What kind of defenses do the Germans put up against landing crafts?
Oh, they throwed everything in the book at you. You name it, they throwed it.
He described something that they used to prevent the landing crafts.
They used the tanks, machine guns, and on southern France, we had the rockets. There was one thing that helped us.
You're saying the U.S. had rockets they used?
Yeah. They laid on a ship, and there's this zoom, 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 right on down the line. They'd turn it around and zero the others in the same way.
These rockets, did they explode on impact, or were they just piercing?
On impact.
And you said these rockets were used off the ship?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
There's a ship for them.
What kind of range did they have?
Pardon?
What kind of range did they have?
Oh, we unloaded 5 mile out in the landing crafts.
So that's a pretty good range.
Yeah.
So they
had a 5 mile or a little better range.
Let's go back again. You after leaving Anzio, where did you go?
After Anzio, to southern France.
Where in southern France did you go to?
We hit on the right flank at Cannes, France. Went right through an under railroad bridge, trestle, and up mountainside. And we got up the mountain. Didn't have any fire on us at all. No, you know. So my platoon leader, Joe Sanchez, sent my 2 other boys and myself Otis Brookshire, and Rosa, what was it? A Rojati. I can't think of his first name. He was Jewish. Sent us out on the left flank to see what we could find, see what was out there, and we went out and we seen 3 Germans running down the road, and Rojati and I both were BAR men, and we opened fire, and one of us hit one in the leg. Well, we followed them up, and we got around there. There was an underground garrison. So we sent Rojati back to get help. Well, Brookshire and I, we kept them pinned in the underground garrison. They came out with a pillowcase on a pole and stuck it out beside the door. Well, we quit firing. They came out then with a bed sheet and ran it up on the flagpole. And when they did that, Brookshire and I got up, and we were standing about like you and I apart. And the sniper hit him right through the heart, out the back. And he just folded, so that left me all by myself. And I got back under cover and kept him pinned in till Joe Sanchez and help came. Our platoon leader came and had help with him. We got 197 out of the underground garrison.
We're going to switch out tapes right here. Okay.
Well, we got them all out of the underground garrison and started back to the beach before we hit the beach with them. Well, I was bringing up the rear, and we got almost to the beach, and I seen a helmet, German helmet, come out behind the rock. And what it was, they had a cutout in this rock cliff. So I hollered up, finally got them stopped. And, there was a German there that could speak some English. And I told him, I says, you call them out. He went up and called. One came out. I says, tell the others to come. That's all, that's all, that's all. And I just reached down, got one of my pouch and got a hand grenade out, pulled the pin, walked up to throw it, stood by the side to throw it back in the cutout, and he went to holler, no, 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 and swinging on my arm. There I was holding that grenade and him swinging on my arm. And I says, well, call them out. He went up and called, and there was two more came out. So when they came out, I was still standing there holding that hand grenade. I just got to the side and rolled it back in the hole and then went back in to see what, if there was anything else left. So we got 200 prisoners our first day. Well, about the first, I'd say 4 hours we was on the beach. Then that night we advanced on up on the mountainside and the rock cliffs, and you couldn't tell, it was so dark, you couldn't tell whether the next man to you was a German or American. So I backed up against the rock cliff and stood there until daylight. Well, I don't know where the others, they was around in the vicinity. But I got up against that rock and sat down, sat there until daylight.
When daylight came, what did you see?
Well, the Germans had all gone. The American boys were still there.
Where did you meet up with German troops again?
Pardon me?
Where did you meet up with the German troops again? Where was your next action?
Oh, well, we went from there on into Rome. When I walked through Rome, well, we walked 30 miles. We was 30 miles from Rome. And we marched through Rome. Started 1 o'clock and in the a.m. and finished up about 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. I had blisters on every toe, on top, on both feet, and a big blister and under my big toe on each side. And they come around and pull a foot inspection. And they sent me back to the aid station. I told the boys, I said, goodbye, boys. I'll see y'all in a couple of weeks. Hell, I went back down there and went back to the aid station. What blisters wasn't broken. They broke the rest of them. Give me a clean pair of socks and says you can go back and join the company. And I had to walk back. I thought I never would get there. And I got back and joined the company. And we got a little rest. I pulled my shoes, my socks off. There was a big watering trough, and laid back on the ground, stuck my feet and legs down in it, almost to my knees, and laid there and went to sleep. And they came around, woke me up about midnight, and had to move out. So I had to get my shoes back on and go. And then we drove into Florence. And let's see. It was on the Anzio we went to Florence.
I want to ask you, the troops that you captured, what you notice about their age and their look?
They were different age, just about like our Army was.
Did the type of resistance they put up, did they seem like experienced troops?
Well, all they fired was just a sniper shot. That's all they fired.
When you were going to Rome, the 100th Battalion was in the area. Did you happen to notice them on the road there, or run into them at all?
The 100th.
The 100th Battalion was the all Hawaii Japanese American group, the first of the segregated units.
Not going into Rome now. I had an incident or two with them. Somewhere along the line, I couldn't remember.
Do you remember seeing any of them or were you at Monte Cassino? Or was that before you got there?
Marcatino.
Monte Cassino was a big Italian monastery along the road to Rome.
I went up. You talked about Casino. No, that was at the Rapido River. And Casino was on top of the mountain. I went, like I say, I went up there one night under darkness and left out till the morning before the break of day.
The Rapido River, what was that experience like for you? Talk about that.
Pardon me?
The Rapido River?
The Rapido River. Well, I don't know much about it, but they said that's where the GI blood, the river run red with GI blood. And I know they did call a truce. Germans come over and picked up theirs, and the Americans went over and picked up their dead and the wounded. And after the truce was over, went back to fighting.
When you were in France and you were going to the Vosges Mountains, this was after Bruyères and Bufontaine area?
No, I did. I just went in the way that they directed me to go. And we fought around through the mountains most of the time. Yeah. We done most of the mountain fighting.
Yeah. When your men were, when you're deployed with this group, kind of a mixed group, not a full full regiment. This is the group with Marty Higgins was asked to take command. What was the fighting like as you approached through the Vosges Mountains? The type of resistance you're coming in.
Well, what happened? You see, the division made a push, not just the regiment. Mm-hmm. The division made the push, and we all had our objects to take. Well, we hit some resistance, but we pushed on, through. And we went and on in and went to our destination that we were supposed to. And the others, when they hit the resistance, backed up. Well, then the Germans just shut the gap and left us pinned in there. For 5 days we had nothing to eat. And on the third day, they sent a 58-man patrol out. I don't know who counted them, but that was the word that I got. And we started out, our objective was to break through and get food and ammunition and water and get it back. So we were making our way through the mountains, and it seemed like to me that the Germans knew that we were coming, and they just set up a kind of a V shape, let us walk right into it, and then they went firing. And someone went and waved a white flag and surrendered. Well, I was on the left flank, and I seen the white flag waving, and Germans quit shooting and the Americans quit shooting. I know I crawled around the tree to make a blast, and there was a machine gun come right up through, knocked mud up in my face. And they surrendered. Well, I went crawling up the mountainside, and there was a big old high rock, and an old pine tree growed up by it, and the Germans standing up on top of that bank, on top of that rock. And I crawled around him, and then I thought I was kind of behind him, but he seen me going out, and he turned and went to firing on me. Well, I kept trying to keep trees and things between us and get out. So I went out around the mountainside, and I heard something come thrashing through the woods behind me. So I got up into an old pine and hid to where I could look out, and it was 4 other Americans. So it was just about getting dark at that time. And we started back in. I was in the lead, and I heard something. I could hear someone walking, and I got on the right side, and one of the other boys got on the left side of the road. We were standing in the shade of the moon, you know. And when he walked up, I dropped my Browning down in his side, and he throwed his hands up. Well, the boy on the left pulled his rifle off of his shoulder. Well, he was going to help us to lead us around the Germans, but Sam and I walked into them, and I stopped them, and we backed up. There was a rock ledge. Oh, it was large enough that all 5 of us could get under. I mean, all 6 of us then, after we had the German prisoner. And we laid there until about 5:30 the next morning. But we laid under a barrage of our own artillery, darn nigh until daylight. And then we got up, went on in. We'd been gone 23 hours and a half. So I taken my prisoner around by my company commander. I says, Captain, I brought you a prisoner. He ain't no prisoner of mine, he's yours. You take him and take care of him. So I taken him to my foxhole and slept with him till the 442nd come in and we got relief.
That prisoner was, what kind of information did they get from him?
They didn't get no information. No one got any information from him. And I know my best buddy got killed. I'm wanting a prisoner. And they knew we had to face the tank every daggone time we went out there. But they had sent us out. Oh, heck, went blank. Henry Griffin. And we caught every one of them. And we went one day and they got that tank after us with 50 caliber machine guns. And Henry got wounded. And he was a great big fellow. He was about 6'1" or 2", weighed about 240 pounds. And I was trying, my 165, 70 pound trying to help him back. And I got him through the fence. And he had one foot laying up over and they opened up on me. Well, they knocked mud in my face and my boots and everywhere else, but I never got hit. And Henry had done got till I couldn't help him. So I didn't have but just a little ways back to our company. And they sent men down, and he was done dead.
When you went out on patrol, you were sent out on patrol with during the Lost Battalion battle?
Yeah. That was on the 58 man. I was in the 58 man patrol that they sent out.
How many men came back from that patrol?
Only 5 Americans, one prisoner.
Who were the other men that returned with you?
I didn't know. And when we got back, they went to their CP, I went to mine. And I don't know who they were. I would love to know if there was any of them still alive. As far as I know, I'm the only one alive. There could be more. I don't know.
What happened to the other men that didn't make it back?
They were either killed or captured by the Germans.
Have you ever reconnected or met any of those men that were captured?
No. I had my assistant gunner got captured in December of 45.
44? 44? December of 44?
No, December 45. I mean, January of 45, during the Battle of the Bulge. I think that started on December the 16th.
I want to ask a little bit more about the Lost Battalion. When you guys realized that you were cut off, that you'd been encircled, what was the initial reaction? Or was there calm?
Oh, everybody was calm. We had orders to dig in, and I went up one time to the sump hole. There was just a sump hole on top of the mountain, and that's all the water we had to drink. And one of us, when we'd go, we'd take 2 or 3 canteens and fill them up. Went up there one time, had to pull a German out of it. Someone shot him, hadn't pulled him out. And I had a machine gun from my position down the hill about 50 yards. I doubt if it was 50 yards. Might have been 30, about 35 feet, 35. But anyway, the day that, the next morning, we had a battle. After they had got shut off, we had a battle. And the machine gun boy was down just about 100 feet from me, got killed. So they disabled the machine gun, but there was no way we could get him out or anything. And they left him just laying there, just like a man on the machine gun. And that helped notify you that they were coming. They'd see that man laying on the machine gun, go shoot.
What kind of provisions did you actually have at the point that you were cut off? Your supplies?
Well, we had just stocked up on our own private, ammunition. I hadn't shot any of my ammunition. And we were pretty well stocked on it.
Let me establish too, because I don't think we've done it yet. Can you name your regiment, your company, and your platoon and squad?
I don't get what you mean.
To establish what unit you were with. We haven't said that yet, really. So could you say your regiment, your company?
I was with A Company, 141st Infantry.
What platoon and what squad?
First platoon, first squad.
Who was your commanding officer there at that site?
Joe Sanchez. No, Joe was platoon leader. Virgil Peterson.
What was his rank?
Was his tape running.
Pardon?
His tape running.
Oh, it is.
I just had a remark to make. Don't have to cut it out.
Let's stop tape for a moment. If you want to tell that, feel free. But you know, I thought you didn't want us to shoot.
Well, that's where I got in all my damn trouble. Is telling everything just as it happened. I didn't stretch nothing.
When during this Lost Battalion period, what was the mood of the men like? Were they kind of?
They were all calm, just calm as was on any other battle line.
Yeah.
We had quite a few attacks, but we managed to whip them off. Like I say, went up there and someone had shot one, and he was laying in the water hole. Looked like cold coffee, but it was wet.
The attempts to bring supplies in, they shot artillery in.
Yeah, they tried that first, and that didn't work.
Why didn't that work?
Oh, well, you couldn't get much in a 105 Harrison to feed a battalion.
What other attempts were made to get food to you?
Then they put it in metal, like aluminum, and had big containers of it. And the first one hit the ground, the Germans was just down and under the hill, so they grabbed it. Two other boys and myself, that's when I shot the most, was when they was dragging my food off. And they got away with it. They got on down the hill. And we was getting behind another line. And we turned and went back, and there was 3 cartons where it had hit the ground and broke open. The container broke open and hit the ground, and there was 3 C-rations fell out.
Those were those the belly tanks that were dropped by the 405th Air Squadron?
Yeah, that's what it was.
We also heard about an attempt to drop things in with parachutes.
I never, no, they might, if they did, I never did see a parachute drop in. But they dropped them right from the belly of a plane. What else?
How was Marty Higgins as a leader?
Well, Marty was he was a platoon leader.
Yeah, he was. Well, he was
What?
actually.
Second platoon.
He was. Oh, I'm not sure which platoon. He was in A company,
Yeah.
and then the other officers there decided to. He was the oldest, to have him take charge.
Well, that I know nothing about.
Okay.
I was sitting down under the hill, guarding the dead man and watching out.
Your specialty, your weapon was BAR?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what is a BAR?
It's a Browning automatic rifle. It's fed by a 20-round clip. I carried 11 clips of ammunition. And my gunner carried, the sister gunner carried, had 5 pockets on it. He carried, I believe, 4.
About how heavy were those clips?
Huh?
How heavy were the clips?
Well, it had 20 rounds of 30 caliber, 30-06 shells, shot the same thing as the 03 rifle, or the M1, the Grand. And I say they'd go about 3 pounds apiece. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 to 3 pounds apiece. For the metal clips, it was kind of heavy. And then the springs, and then the ammunition, you know.
Before you actually made contact, or the Japanese American soldiers made contact with your guys, news coming back from headquarters, the headquarters position, to let you know the progress. Did you ever directly hear any of the progress that was being made, or
No,
through?
I never. Like I say, I was sitting from the CP, I was sitting, right at 100 yards down the hill.
Okay.
In a foxhole.
How did you discover that men from the 442nd had actually broken through?
I seen them coming through the woods. They got to me first. I seen them coming up, and I could tell they wasn't Germans, for they didn't have the old square hat on, helmet. And I could see the uniforms. No, they wore the same uniforms that we did.
What did you think when you saw these Japanese faces?
Oh, I hugged his neck. Was happy as I could be.
What was the first thing you remember saying?
Boy, you fellas sure looks good. Where have you been? But you know, they'd get out there. Those boys get out there and just kick around like you or I would, going out there kicking brush piles to run a rabbit out.
chance to meet some of these soldiers after the war?
I had a sister that lived out there, and she got in contact with him, and I got a letter from him. And then I had the picture that was in my hometown paper from being in the Lost Battalion. And the letter from him, I aimed to brought it and forgot it.
What's his name?
Gosh, I can't recall it. But he was from Stockton, California.
Have you, besides the letter, have you ever seen him since the war?
No.
Okay.
I did get a invitation to go to Hawaii to the decoration of the memorial.
Okay. Well, hopefully, maybe this coming March is the 65th anniversary of the 442nd.
Yeah.
And that's going to be in Hawaii.
It is.
Yeah. So maybe you guys can come along there.
Yeah. I doubt if I get to go.
We'll see. There's prior to seeing these boys out in the field when they rescued you, what had you heard about the 100th or 442nd? Did you get news in Stars and Stripes or anything like that?
No, I was told that there was a 100th Division. You know, they come in and tried. And then the Japanese come in taking over. And I had a first cousin in the 100th Division. And after the war was over, we were down just out of home at Over Ginsburg. And I mean, out of Ulm, Germany. We were just at Over Ginsburg, just out of Ulm, Germany. And I went to one weekend to Frankfurt to meet up with my first cousin. He and I were as close as brothers.
What's your cousin's name?
Pardon me?
What's your cousin's name?
Maynard Clifton. He died year before last. And he was a minister, preacher, Baptist preacher.
After this rescue where these guys broke through, you didn't have much time to rest, did you?
No, we didn't. We never had much time. I've actually gone to sleep walking down the road. When you'd hit the ground, it'd wake you up.
Where were you assigned to go after being rescued there?
Well, let's see. You mean from the Lost Battalion?
Yeah, from the Lost Battalion. Actually, let me ask you first. After that Lost Battalion battle, did you guys have an opportunity to regroup and get replacements, or were you sent back out right away?
Well, no, we didn't regroup. We just dug in and set up a defense all around. See, we had to, didn't go from one side to the other. We had to go all the way around.
Yeah. Yeah, when you set up your defenses, can you try to describe that to me? What did your defenses look like?
The what?
Your defenses when you were there at the Lost Battalion. What did that look like?
It was just being dug in foxholes. Some of them would dig, and some of them wouldn't. I never stopped unless I started digging.
If someone were to look from the air at your placement, were you guys in a straight line with machine guns at either end, or were you in somewhat of a circle? Or
we was just in a circle around the top of the hill.
What was the terrain like around you? Was there higher ground or even ground?
No, we were right on top of the hill. And it was mostly large trees. And we got a very little bit of artillery from the Germans at that time.
When you got to that top high ground position, were there any foxholes already dug by the Germans that had left there, or any kind of?
No, we had to do it all. We had one can of bacon, and we divided it between our squad, and we didn't even waste the grease.
What personally for you was the toughest part of being there at that battle?
Well, after the third day, you quit feeling so hungry. You started starving then. And we went to the fifth day without anything. I got my feet frozen up in France. Germany won. Camera's on.
Trying to tell us an off-the-record story?
Oh, when we did get food in, one of those C-rations, biggest thing, you thought you could eat about a half a dozen of them. You had to choke one down.
What was the C-ration consist of?
Well, my first one was a ham and egg, cooked up in you've seen them, haven't you? There's in a little can about that big around and about that tall. about 2.5 inches tall. And then we got 4 cigarettes with it. That come in good. That kind of settled their nerves.
At the point that that you finally did get rescued and you're out of there, you said you really didn't have a chance to rest. You guys were sent on your way. Where did you go after that?
Good gosh. I don't know, but I know we went back and they fed us a steak. They must got into the officers' mess hall.
What was that meal like?
Oh, it was grand. To be eating C-rations when we hit the beach in southern France, August the 15th, 5 minutes after 8. We were on the lines 143 days without relief.
How did you feel about that?
Huh?
How did you feel about that?
Oh,
Being on the
well,
line so long?
that was a long time. They had relieved our general that fought for his men, General Mark Clark. They sent him back to Camp Mayberry here. When his men was on the line so many days, he wanted to see if they got relief. And they all thought he was a bully or something, a butthole for not just pushing on, you know, that old brass. I know we come up one time and boy and I was standing talking, and I forget who it was that was with me. I know we had just got out under a pin down of sniper fire, and the boy got a cigarette out to smoke, and General Clark was standing there, and when the boy got the cigarette out, it was moldy. General Clark says, "Soldier, you can't smoke that." Walked around to his Jeep, got a pack of Lucky Strikes, and handed them to him. He says he thanked him for them, and says, "General, when do we eat? When does Buddy ever eat around here?" He says, "I don't know, soldier." Says, "How long's it been since you had a hot meal?" Says, "We haven't had a hot meal since we hit the beach." Says, "You'll eat tonight." So that night they brought up food. They brought it up in containers. and had it all set out, you know, in trees. Who comes through the chow line? General Clark. Well, he went and got him a tree, went, started through the line. He says to one of them, first cook, I believe it was, get me a fork. The cook looked up and seen who it was. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Went and got him a fork and taking his plate out. And he might have tasted a half a dozen bites and set it down. And he walked up. It was old sergeant, first cook. Says, you call that food? And the old first cook told him, says, well, when it's be brought up, I have to burn it. He said, well, you go in and get your rifle, all your equipment. Put them back on, put them on the lines. Now that's the kind of man General Clark was. He was a good man.
What do you think of General Dahlquist?
I never had much dealings with him. He was our company, our battalion commander.
Okay, we're going to switch out here.
You know it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Are you about to?
We're going to wrap up pretty soon here, yeah. We're just going to get you home and out. I want to ask you, for your service, what sense did you come away with having fought as part of the 141st and for your years of service?
Well, I wasn't by myself, so I held no grudge either way. See that? My foot is just like it. This one I've just got a few spots on it.
And was that from trench foot condition, or what was that from?
Well, that is it running?
Yeah.
That was when we had orders to take a hill, and we went in taking the hill, got kicked back out, and our company commander, we were supposed to get back across the river and hold. Well, our company commander, the guy that I was talking about, taken all of the men that had made it off of the hill at that time, left out with them. was 17 of us stayed in there. And it was cold weather. We had to wade a river. They called it a river. It wasn't too big, but it was. You did get your feet wet every day, or sometimes twice every day. And 17 of us stayed in there and helped. I went in the hospital on Thanksgiving night. And if Peterson had anything to say about it, he had said, get him a bigger pair of shoes, boots. I always said if I ever meet him, give him that. And I am if I ever meet him, but I've never heard a word from him. He lived in St. Pete, Florida.
What's the best part of your military experience? What's the best thing you came away with?
Well, best thing I came away with was a sound mind, and the only thing I had was my feet at that time, and they wasn't dead back when I, first got out. I mean, I had doctored them up. When I went to the hospital, somewhere there in France, if I ain't mistaken, it was Herpemont, France. I went in the hospital, and guys had done been in there I don't know how long. And I went out before they did. I doctored my feet. They'd lay there and wouldn't doctor theirs. I says, hell, if I get back home, I want to have 2 feet anyway.
When did you get discharged from the Army?
Huh?
When did you get discharged from the Army?
I got discharged December the 20th, 1945.
I know not too long after the Lost Battalion battle, Marty Higgins was captured. Quite a lot of people from his company, A Company. Were you caught along with those men?
Oh, they captured just about our whole company on day before Christmas.
And were you captured along with them?
I was on my way in. I went back Christmas Day.
Oh, okay, so you missed that.
Yeah. I went back Christmas Day from the hospital.
So it's fortunate then. So, did you stay with your outfit through the remainder of the war?
Yeah. I went on then through to Bad Toes, Germany. And I was first man to wade the river there. Across see, it's Bad Toes. The river divides the line between bad toes Germany and bad toes Austria. And what I was doing when they got the word the war was over, I was in the bathtub with a German girl washing my back.
That's probably the best story I've heard of.
Oh, yeah.
How somebody heard the good news. What'd you find the condition of the German people that you came across?
You know, all the way through Italy, all the way through France, we'd go in and make a push, take a town. Maybe we'd get relieved and drop back into the town. It was Yankee go home. Yankee go home. That way in France, Italy and France both. And the German people treated us better than the French or the Italians, either one.
When you did get word that you'd be going home, where were you stationed at that point? And how long had the war been over?
Well, I went out and got me a gallon of schnapps.
In that order?
Huh?
In that order?
In that order. And, well, I got 4 liters. 4 liters. Bottles. 4 bottles, a liter in each bottle. And we loaded in boxcars at home, I believe it was. But anyway, we went to Marseille, France, and load up on the ship to come home. And no one got drunk. We'd just take us a drink. And they caught us with it on the last bottle. And Joe says, and now Joe Sanchez was the best commissioned officer they ever I met. And Joe says, hand me that. And I handed it to him. And he taken it and cracked it on the wheel of the car. And I says, now, Joe, I talk to him just like I'm sitting here talking to you. I says, now, Joe, look at all that good heat running down over that wheel. He never opened his mouth. He was good.
When you got discharged, what did you do as far as a career afterwards, after the military?
Well, I went home and cranked up the farm for a while, and they cut my money crop out, the tobacco. So I had a wife and 3 kids then to look after, and I had to get out and hustle. I started work in Knoxville, Tennessee, December the 3rd in '55, and I wound up in '85 retired.
So what kind of work did you do?
I was signal electrical. I had to move away from home. See, that's the reason I was saying Washington County, and I lived in Amherst County now. I came to Monroe, Virginia, 1962, as signal maintainer. And as a signal maintainer, I had a section I had to keep working. I had about 25-mile territory, but I had a yard in between.
So the electrical that you were keeping up, was this
Centralized track control. The signals is what the trains, they couldn't run without them. They'd bump into one another.
Were you hired by a specific railroad, or was it a general thing where
I
you were
was hired by the railroad.
Which railroad?
Well, I worked for the Southern, and till they merge, Norfolk and Southern. And I worked 2 years after the merger of the Norfolk and Western and Southern. They called it Norfolk and Southern then.
What's the name of your wife?
Huh?
What's the name of your wife?
Betty.
And how did you meet?
Oh, well, we didn't live about 3 miles, about three and a half miles apart. And I used to see her when I'd go up and down the road. And we got married March 26th, 1946. And I've stayed married to her all the time.
Good. What are the names of your children?
Huh?
What are the names of your children?
Oh, Arthur Jr. and Irene is my daughter, and Larry is my youngest son.
What do they do?
He's Larry is supervisor over finishing and shipping at Intermet Mill in Radford, Virginia. That's up Roanoke. And my son-in-law, that was, you know, you seen him downstairs.
Yeah.
He's a tool and die, and he's in charge of the pattern shop for Intimate in Lynchburg. And Irene, she works for a lawyer, secretarial work.
And your oldest son?
Pardon?
Your oldest son?
My oldest son, he's a paint contractor.
What did you learn from your mother that you hope you passed on to your own children?
Well, my mother, I learned to work from her. And also I learned to cook from her. I've cooked ever since I was 12 years old. Sometimes mothers have to go out and take care of a patient. Back then you didn't have hospitals to take people to like they do nowadays. And my brother and I'd be there, just he and I. We'd get up in the morning, I'd get breakfast while he'd go and go and feed the horses. Then we'd go to the barn and harness them up, get into our plowing, do whatever we had to do. If we didn't need them, we'd take them out and water them, feed them, put them back in.
Have you spoken to your own children about your wartime experiences?
Yeah, some. Not like I have tonight. We've done been talking about 3 or 4 hours.
Under 3, but it probably feels like 4. Actually, we're coming to the end of the line here, so we're going to let you off the hook and thank you very much for sharing your story with us tonight, especially because it is such a late one. You probably tied the record for the latest interview. Both of them in Texas. Must be something about Texas. Anyway, Arthur, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to share your story with us. And you will get a copy of this.
I'll go in